What's going on, guys? G2 here. Welcome back to the channel. And today we're going to talk about those little markings on your gun. They look like this. What do those markings mean? Does it even really matter? Let's go. Alright, so you've got your AR typically on your upper, on your lower, sometimes on your charging handle. Aluminum pieces. You're going to see those little marks right there. This one was our example in our intro, was the famous Keyhole right there. And I'm sure if you got an AR, chances are you got a keyhole. But what does that mean? Like, what are these forge markings referring to? And does it even really matter? For those of you who don't want to wait to the end of the video, it doesn't matter. Okay? The forge marking doesn't matter. So, if you're triggered and you want to leave, you can leave now. If you want to find out why, then let's go. So we'll start first with our keyhole guy. So if you've got a keyhole forge mark, and this one we have on, this is on a Spikes tactical build that we've got here. So that is from Cerro Forge, probably one of the more popular forge marks that you're going to see, the keyhole. Started in 1915. These guys do anything aluminum. Sometimes you'll see some optic housing, you'll see hand guards, you'll see uppers, obviously, lowers, charging handles. For all intents and purposes, every forge that we're going to talk about does essentially the same thing. So that's Cerro Forge. Let's go to the next one before I tell you why it doesn't matter what you got. So the next one I have here is on the very first AR I ever got. This is a Delton. Actually, this thing has been running pretty good, and it has run for a very long time with no issues. So this one has, right there, you can see it looks like an A, and that is referred to as a splintered A, or the Anchor Harvey forge mark. Anchor Harvey started in 1920s. This is probably not the most popular compared to the keyhole, but I would say number 3. So we're going to do a top 3. This is probably the third most popular that you're going to see. So that denotes to Anchor Harvey. Now let's go into the third one, which every time. Let's go into the third one. So the third one we have here is on our AR 9mm build that we did here on the channel. And this one you can see is a square. Now the square is probably the second most popular, going to be tied with that keyhole, and the square is your BAFE, or your Brass Aluminum Forging Enterprises. Colt uses these and other manufacturers as well, as do the other ones, and we'll get into that right here in a second, why it doesn't matter. So all that forge mark means is when your lower was forged, it was forged from a solid piece of aluminum. Okay, square stock, and it was made into, get in there, your upper or your lower or whatever it is you have. Now, when they finish the forging process, none of that is cut out. It is just a solid piece, a raw upper or a raw lower, if you will. Not even like an 80%. Okay, like if you think of a lower as an 80%, you still have the magwell that is milled out. You still have some of the little magazine releases and the pivot pins and all that kind of stuff milled out. That's not what it looks like. It is just a solid chunk in the shape of said part, upper or lower. And this is why it doesn't matter where it came from. It matters who milled it. So once they have been forged, they're sent to Colt, they're sent to Anderson, okay? They're sent to Delton, they're sent to any other manufacturer that you want to think of, with the exception of Aero Precision, because they do their own. Then they go into the milling process, and that is what denotes one from the other in terms of quality. How tight are the specs when they're doing the milling? What kind of milling that they're using? You know, it's all relative to the milling process of the manufacturing, not the forging. So if you are one of those people who swear that BAFE is better than Anchor Harvey, that's better than Cero Forge, in reality it doesn't matter. What matters is the next stop before you get it. The person who does the milling, who is milling it to spec. If things are out of spec, let's take an Anderson for an example. An Anderson uses I got one. Let's see. Okay. So here's an Anderson. I'm going to block out my serial number there. Okay. Anderson lower. You can all start your hate right now. Now when we go looking for that forge mark, we can see it right here above our trigger guard. Come on, baby. There we go. Keyhole. So Anderson uses the Cero Forge. So if you say Anderson lowers suck because the tolerances and the specs are a little bit off, it's not because of Cero Forge, it's because of Anderson, and so forth and so on. Okay, so just to give you a little perspective as to what those forging marks mean, why it really doesn't matter where it comes from. What matters is who you got it from. So Anderson buys all of their lowers, their uppers from Cero Forge in raw, unfinished, unmilled billets. Then they go ahead, they mill it out, they put their stamp on it. They can't unmark or cover up the original forge mark, so they put their stamp on it, and then they sell it to you. Same thing for Colt, same thing for FN, whoever it is, H&K, pick one. With the exception of Aero. Aero does their own. And I'm sure there's other companies out there that do their own before I get smashed on. But that's it. That's all I got for you guys. It doesn't matter. So don't be a snob because you got your fancy little Splinter Day and the guy down from you has got a keyhole or a square. But that's it. Your forge mark doesn't mean anything. It's just the origination. It's not the end product. It's not even close to the end product by the time you get it. It's just the guys who made the shape. So until next time, make sure that you're practicing safe weapons handling at all times and treating every weapon as if it was loaded. God bless America. G2 out.